Alright guys, here I have a box of goodies. Let's go ahead and open it up and see exactly what this is. Now, I have a suspicion, but, you know, sometimes I am surprised. At this point, I've given my address out to quite a few different companies, and every now and then, sometimes I just get stuff. But I think I know what these are, and if so, I'm interested in showing you guys exactly what they should be. Oh, look at that! We got some Costco, some Huggies. If you need some Huggies, 3-in-1 comfort. You know, this is, again, why I always love unboxing stuff like this. It's just, you don't, you know, you get a normal unboxing, and normally at that point, you know exactly what it is you're going to get. Like, look at that. Who cut that? But when it comes to these, looking at previews and prototypes and stuff, you just get the coolest unboxing experience ever. Like, what the heck is all this? Alright, let's see. Let's get through it all. Alright, I think I'm not missing anything. I don't think so. Alright. Okay. I think that's probably good. Yep. Alright. Move that aside. Move this. And zoom in. Okay, alright, now that we're zoomed in, let's go ahead and... This is a nice container for it, at least. Like, I think this will work good. As you can tell, these are probably going to be miniatures. And actually, you know, it's kind of funny. So, you guys know more than I know going into this, just because I don't like... I typically name my videos exactly what it is I'm doing and looking at and all that, so you already know what's coming up. Whereas me, I just kind of had a kind of a guess at first. Alright, let's see here. There we go, and then nothing. That to the side. And let's do the one that's already almost open, huh? Now, would you look at that? Wow, that is some good detail. Alright, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Alright, so I've zoomed in a little bit more here. Now, this is definitely not final production quality, because this is a 3D print. You can still see some of the support posts here that I need to trim off, and you can also, again, here's some more here. You can also kind of see a few of them where they were, and they were kind of trimmed and cut down and stuff like that underneath the gun. Anywhere there's an overhang, it's going to have to do that, and then here as well. So these are 3D printed, which also goes to show you kind of the detail you can get with 3D printed miniatures at this point. Quite impressive, though there is that kind of post-cleanup that you'll need to do. So what I'm going to be doing here is mostly just looking at sculpt design, and then also just kind of in general the detail thickness, just to comment on like how well that'll transition to a plastic. Just in case you don't go with Archon, if they go with Archon again, they do kind of a resin unicast that can capture pretty much any detail, but otherwise they might be in like an ABS PVC plastic realm. Also, in case you didn't notice, these are Stormsunder miniatures from Lazy Squire Games. And I must say that these look quite cool. So what I like about here is, first of all, the sculpted base. I just really appreciate the sculpted base. I like that they're not even exactly circular. Like, you can tell the base kind of is, but then it'll jut out, and it won't be like a perfect circle. You know, this is like straighter here, and then a little outcropping here and such, which I always really like. That being said, this one isn't taking a huge amount of, like if she'd been flipped this way and standing on the rock, you know, for instance, it'd be a little bit of a more dynamic pose. However, what I do like here is that her neck is bent, that she's really kind of like looking down the sight, that she does have a sight right here, that she's actually looking down. I appreciate seeing that. Her hat is a very cool shape. I really like the shape of the hat. Like, it's very wide here and then more round and more pointed in the front. And then of course she's got like her boots, which are really cool too. And then just, you know, a few additions, like instead of just putting pants on, she's got like bandages around here, which is kind of nice. Here's another post here. Some embroidery work on her like coat thing that's like, again, very fanned out. This almost looks kind of fairy-like, which I kind of like. Her hair is very nice. I love that they put her arrows, her quiver, on the side where they normally would, instead of on her back where they wouldn't, because that takes a lot more reaching to get, whereas opposed to just pulling it out from here. Or I guess her bolts is what these would be with a crossbow. An interesting take that, oh, it looks like it actually broke. So see right here, it broke. I wonder if I can find that other piece somewhere. Because see, this was kind of unwrapped a little bit too. I'll look for that. That's actually kind of a bummer, but it happens, especially with these fragile resin pieces here. There should be another one of these coming out this way. You can see it broke right there. As for detail, this is a true scale, so her hands are quite tiny, very tiny. In this detail quality on the 3D print, I can see her fingers fine. But again, just something to be conscious of. Really, it's the thickness of stuff. So there's an embroidery work, I don't know if you can hear that or not, right here on this like belt. Very, very thin. So this right here is nice and thick. You can see that well. This embroidery inlay work here on the belt, though, is very thin. So that, like, even now, this wouldn't take really a wash very well. It might just barely take a wash, but you thicken that up a little bit and you're going to kind of be stuck there. Lots of posts here I need to clean up. I love kind of the shoulder pad just on one side here. It's kind of interesting. It works because of how she's bent. But yeah, in general, I like this one. I think this one's kind of cool. I love the sword and how it actually isn't attached here. It comes up a little bit. That's nice. Got some, like, maybe explosive bolts or something there. Very cool. All right, let's look at the other ones. Let's see. I don't even know which ones these are. So take a guess on which one I'm going to pick. Okay, I hope you guessed. I'm doing this one. Maybe I'll let that... maybe that was obvious because I was holding on to it when I asked. Try to let go as soon as I noticed. All right, let's do this. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, this is a cool one. Ooh, watch out for those knives, guys. All right, so I was just looking at scale here, and what I can tell definitely is that she is a little bit bigger pretty much everywhere. If you look at the thickness of the leg, quite different. Her face is a little bit wider, and her hands, even though she has claws, are quite wider as well. Like compared to this tiny hand here, there's quite a big difference here. So definitely not human, which is totally fine. I think that's actually kind of cool. Definitely an angel, especially considering like she's standing on this tower, and she's obviously bigger than that. Now this isn't like a huge tower or anything like that, but again, the basing is very good. I love the texture around the rim. A lot of times the rim will be flat and the base will just be on top. I like that it's textured all the way on the side there. The armor and the inlay and all that came out really, really well. These feathers are highly stylized. So a lot of times feathers will have either a lot of ridges or sometimes they'll just have 1 or 2 or 3. This is the 1, 2, or 3. So it's flat, right? It's like a flat shape and then these little kind of inlays. It's fine. It's just a certain way of stylizing the feathers. So like Ether Fields, for instance, has all the texture there. This is a little bit more, I don't want to say cartoony because I don't mean in a bad way. It's just a different style of doing the feathers. And normally this can end up looking a little bit more clean. Especially with like highlights and stuff like that. Because all you do with the highlights is you just do just like this. Just little motions like that. You'll get the texture in there. The inlay texture here looks good. Here especially looks good. Painting in here is going to be a pain. Tassels look good. Whatever this thing is looks cool. This looks good. Painting in here, again, going to be quite fun. I say that jokingly. The embroidery work here on the, I don't know, if a bodice or whatever this is, very fine. And then also here on her chest plates, just like this line here is very thin. It doesn't even really catch this. So I'd like to see that thickened up a little bit, just so it makes the transfer good, you know. Same with the embroidery work here. Even in this 3D print. And who knows, maybe if they do enough ABS that they can actually get finer detail than this. I don't really, again, it's always kind of hard to really judge it, but just, it'd be what I'm conscious about when I'm looking at this, when I'm thinking about the transfer. Pose-wise, it's amazing. I love that, again, she's not quite centered, right? Centered would probably be about here, and she's a little bit off. I love that her arms are a little bit out, but not symmetrical. This one's a little bit farther back, like towards her wings. Love how her wings also aren't symmetrical. This one's further back as well. So her whole shoulder's kind of pushed back a little bit as she's turning around. Looks like she's either just landed or about to push off from there. So I love the pose there. The gargoyles and stuff like that on there are really, really cool. Love the kind of destruction of it all. These are nice and thick ridges here that'll paint up good. This is a great looking miniature. Like really, really good. As long as that detail stays and in fact enhances a little bit, like right here and right here, this is going to be like top tier. It's going to look great. I really like this one. All right, let's go ahead and here now. Not enough room. All right, so now one more. Let's do this one. We're gonna go in order of left to right, depending on how I randomly took them out. It's the best kind of order. All right, moving on. Now, their Wild Ascent miniatures, which I also unboxed and showed, are from Archon. And if you didn't know, Archon makes amazing miniatures. They're definitely in the top tier area. They have some cleanup issues, but otherwise are good. So here's the little piece that fell off here. I'll have to find where that is and glue it on, no problem. I don't know if they'll be doing Archon again. Archon, I'm sure, is fairly expensive. And while Wild Ascent had all the, it made sense for Wild Ascent. I don't know how much it does for this, especially with these bigger miniatures and stuff like that. They would know more. I'm sure they're going to go with a good company, though. They're obviously a company that cares about the miniature quality, hence the early preview miniatures to people like me who can paint them and show them off and talk about them. If they weren't miniature focused like that, they wouldn't be doing that. So while I have faith it'll be good, I don't know if it'll be Archon again. And honestly, again, they're not the only ones up there in the top tier. You can get really like hate miniatures and stuff like that can be fantastic. Limbo Eternal War, those look really, really good from Starry Games. So a lot of manufacturers can make really good plastic miniatures still. This guy is fantastic. This thick ridges and stuff here will paint great. The deep inset eyes will be good. The teeth are just enough there. If it was less, I'd be upset, but this will actually still paint fine. This little detail here, there's a little tiny bit of embroidery work here, not noticeable. Once I put paint on that, it's gonna like barely even be seen. I believe this is a chain, a spiked chain, in which case it's nice and chunky. That'll show up great. It'll paint great. And so here's the chain continuing to go on and on again. The thickness there, I always try to look at chains so you can see the interlocking part of it. That'll look great. His face looks good. All the ridges look good. His eyes look good. Chin thingies look good. Whatever's up with his skin looks good. The embroidery work here is good. And on the head are good. Are good. I don't know what kind of English I'm speaking. I'm not seeing a lot that's bad here. I like the framing of this base. So it's like mostly plain here, and then there's some things kind of in the background, kind of setting him against it. Now it's not super high. It almost would have been cool to come up higher and really kind of have it be behind him, but otherwise that's good. All of this is good. It's huge thick ridges here. This is just about perfect. There's barely a few things that I'd be semi-concerned about, but otherwise good. Sometimes, and you'll notice this in like hair, like for instance, the Oni of Hate and Rising Sun with the skulls in the hair. If you get in like lines that are crossing each other and then some that are straight and some that are round, some people, some manufacturers really struggle with the mold here. And so when they get, I call it busy, when it gets busy around certain areas, sometimes it can. This looks fine. I'm not too concerned there. The hair ridges are about as thin as I'd like them. So as long as they keep that, it should be good. Skull looks good inlaid there. It's maybe a little blended here. Kind of hard to tell. Yeah, this is a cool guy. I like him. All right. And one more. Which one is it? Let's see. I love the size of these, by the way. If you have not painted larger miniatures, if you haven't painted a 75 millimeter or even like a 40 millimeter, something like that, you're going to be in for a treat. They paint so much better. You have so much more area and control and can see what it is you're doing. You don't have to worry about pumping the contrast to ridiculous levels to see it. It's just all around very, very good. And oh, I'm so glad I got this one. All right. And here she is. My wife loves Egyptian stuff, so she's going to be all about this. I love the dogs on either side. Fantastic. I love, again, that they are not... Oh, look, it's hollow. That feels weird in there. It's like slimy. I don't know what that's all. I think I just have to wash it. I love see how his paws are like one's farther out and then this one's more parallel. So they're not quite the same. His head is lifted a bit more up. His is lifted a bit more down. This one's slightly to the side. This one's slightly to that side. I love like the pillow and the kind of row of skulls, especially the pile behind it. Oh, look at that. See, I hadn't even seen the back yet. So the scarab beetle, genius, the kind of pharaoh chin face thing going on here looks great. Again, very fine detail on this embroidery work here. So we'll have to see what I can do with that. But then the inlays here look fantastic. The bolts here look good. The bandages look good. Whatever the heck this junk is looks fantastic. Oh, what is that? That looks cool. Everything here has good quality. The only kind of thinness is this right here is quite thin. And that's really it. There's a little ledge here that is thin enough to where you can paint it, but not thin enough to guide your brush. So that'll be a little, especially inlaid like that, it'll be kind of stressful painting that part here. Again, very fine detail here. I would just want to make sure that that kind of scroll work, that inlay work shows up, even if it means not making quite as fancy, but just making it thick enough to where a wash will show it up. Ideally, you can put a wash on here on whatever color you have, and it'll just like magically show up. It'll be great. Love the pillow behind her. I love how, I'm saying that a lot. That's probably annoying. I like that she's slouching kind of back, very casually, arm not like pulled back, but very slouching over leg, kind of casually holding a skull, very at ease in her power and where she's at in her life, which I would be too with these. This reminds me of like a John Wick scenario here in the best of way. Yeah, just cool designs all throughout. I'm very impressed. And again, the prototype component quality here is really, really good. So I will be having more information about this very soon in my mid-month video. So on the 14th of February, I should have that video out. And I'll be talking more about Stormsunder proper, about the game. There's talk of, comparing it to stuff like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. So seriously, it's going to be something different than a lot of others. It looks like a much different style, a very unique style, something that definitely has my interest. Not just for theme, but for gameplay as well. So more on that later. Obviously, if you want to see more about this, if you want to see a painting video, probably be this one. Though maybe this one sounds cool too. Just let me know in the comments below if that's something you want to see, and definitely subscribe for more. As always, thanks to my wonderful patrons. Thanks to Lazy Squire Games for sending these so that you guys can see these up close and personal. That's not something you can do every time for a Kickstarter, so it's nice when you can. And I'll talk to you later. And it's later. I don't know why I end the video like that sometimes. Maybe I'm just used to saying it, but I knew I was going to come and record this anyway. And what can I say? These minis, even up close, look really, really cool. Now, you'll notice a lot of like white spots and stuff like that. These were 3D printed, as I said, and so there was a lot of like small posts that had to hold it up. Especially when you have an additive printer like that, they need to kind of have supporting structures when there's any overhang or anything like that. Until it like hardens and stuff like that. And this is resin, and so it had like cure. So there's a few spots, I think, especially on the Nefertat, the lady in the throne with the two guardian dogs, where you'll see it kind of like shiny. That's just where it needs a little bit more UV love. Anyway, that being said, though, the miniatures here, are really, really well designed. Especially because I've now cleaned up 2 of them. So I've actually like really started to look at it. If you know miniatures at all and you paint miniatures at all, you realize that once you actually start working with the miniature, you notice all sorts of little things. And I must say, I'm just really, really enjoying the different styles here. It's very cool to see Egyptian and then angels in the same line and styled in the same way to where they work well together. I think that's just a very, very cool theme and a very cool IP. And, like I said, with like the chains and a lot of the detail here is great. And I think a lot of it will end up being in the final plastic production style miniatures, in which case we're in for a real big treat when it comes to these. Seriously, these are some cool miniatures. So really looking forward to that. Again, let me know if you want to see any of these painted and which one, and I'll do what I can. Obviously, I'll have more on Stormsunder soon. I will actually be doing an early preview review, so you guys can look forward to that. That way, when the Kickstarter happens and the campaign goes live, you will have seen the minis, you'll see them painted, you'll see the review. You couldn't ask for more going into a campaign when it comes to just knowing if this game is going to be for you or not. So, there's some comparison to like Knights of the Old Republic and some cool stuff like that I'm super excited about, and we'll just have to wait and see how close to that kind of style of game it really is. I know I, again, am looking forward to it. I also appreciate, every time I see her quiver on the side, I just love it. I'm so glad they didn't put it on the back like normal. That's just so much more accurate. So, yeah, anyway, I could talk about these miniatures for forever, but I'll probably do that in a actual painting video instead. So thanks as always for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed seeing this different style of miniature, different take on it. It's not every day you see a miniature sitting, right? I think the only other one I've seen of that is Claustrophobia 1643. And so with I think his name is Master of Souls. So very uncommon to see a sitting miniature. Very cool every time they do, because they always end up actually making it still look cool, even though they're just sitting. So I'm excited about that. All right, guys, that's all I had for today. Again, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk